As President Obama prepares to unveil his budget proposal tomorrow, growing anticipation that's much more than a one-year fix. The fledgling recovery in the U.S. economy has enabled lawmakers to start cutting spending and raising taxes, and politicians from both sides look forward to the potential for what they call a grand bargain. Joe Krier, president of Krier Wealth Management, here to talk about the ins and outs of the president's plan.
Hey, Bruce.
Read an editorial this morning, and it said, we're going to hear the term budget cuts from the president tomorrow, but journalists, analysts, pundits, they shouldn't toe the line. They should be asking, is it enough? Is it an illusion? What's your take?
I think every budget seems to be some sort of an illusion, because when it gets right down to it, they're talking about cutting things over 10 years. And in this case, a lot of the cuts are replacing cuts that are already in place. So it's a little bit of politics as usual, maybe with a twist this time. The end result is that we're still going to have just short of a $1 trillion budget deficit when all is said and done.
So what's that mean for us?
Well, it just means that kind of same old, you know, we're looking at an economy that's trying to get kick-started here, and while they do want to balance the budget, they don't want to stymie the growth that's out there. So very targeted savings, and then a lot of things that are deferred. You know, we want to get this economy cranked up before we have things like the automatic spending cuts that kicked in a couple months ago. Jury's still out whether or not those are going to stymie the economy.
So what you're saying is they're walking an economic tightrope. Let's talk about the grand bargain. What is it?
Yeah, that's where, you know, instead of just looking at things on a one-year basis, they're starting to say, all right, let's incorporate a fix for Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, because those are the big problems that everybody knows are going to tank the U.S. economy long-term if we don't get a fix. One of the items in the budget here is just to adjust the way that the cost of living increases for Social Security are calculated. And just by tweaking that a little bit, it's thought that they can solve maybe 1/4 of the entire Social Security problem.
But it's a very political issue.
Absolutely.
And that's where the balancing act comes in. There are signs that we may be on the road to economic recovery. How does this play into the budget? If the economy is indeed strengthening, does that help us go ahead and, you know, take some of these items and, you know, accept them a little more readily?
Yeah, certainly. And, you know, the biggie here, of course, is unemployment. We've still got a lot of people on the unemployment rolls. If the economy is growing nicely, it starts to absorb the unemployed. It takes them off of government payments, gets them into the private sector. And as you said, we're walking a tightrope here. We just don't know if this economy is healthy enough to absorb some big spending cuts. That's what we really need. Instead, you know, we talk about year-to-year deficits, but the accumulated debt, don't forget, is over $16 billion here. And we're going to have to raise the debt ceiling. Could have another big debate and battle going on just 30 days from now on that one.
I hate to be cliche here, but do we really have to come to grips with reality? No pain, no gain?
I'm not so sure. You know, the U.S. economy, even in its weak state, is still the strongest economy on earth, and the U.S. dollar is the world's reserve currency. So that gives us a lot of leeway to continue printing money, as Ben Bernanke has. Even though they're talking about cuts, he's still pumping $85 billion a month into this economy. So far, we're getting away with it, and we're, if nothing else, we're keeping the economy from getting a lot worse. And the idea is to kind of throw some jet fuel on it here to try to spark a fire and get things going.
See what happens. Joe Krier, always
Thanks,
a
Chris.
pleasure.